Jen, thanks for coming in today to talk about your student learning objectives. I'm looking forward to grand conversations. So could we start with you telling me about your goals and why you chose it? I noticed it's very similar. You're working in the same grade level, so you'll be able to collaborate with one another.
Yep, our goals are very similar. We stated that 100% of our students will increase at least one level or maintain their literacy classification as early emergent, late emergent, probable reader, or transitional, according to the STAR Early Learning Assessment by May of 2014.
Okay, so everybody's going to move at least one level, or if they're on level, they'll at least stay there.
They'll stay there.
Higher. Okay. Yours is exactly the same?
I have the same one, and I looked at the Fontes and Pinnell data. I looked at the spelling feature scores from PALS. I've also looked at the STAR assessment data and also informal records from the children and looking at where their needs are. And it really comes down to those foundational skills that will help them in all areas. Reading, writing, and even math.
Tell me more about the math.
My students, especially when it comes to word problems, they're stumped on some of the words. I cannot expect the students to do the math portion if they cannot read the problem. So being able to apply those foundational phonics skills in reading math problems, I think will help them. And they'll be able to be more confident and use those skills throughout all areas.
Thank you. So not just literacy, but math as well. You're finding the same thing?
Same thing, especially on the PALS data. I found that most of them are not able to understand how words work and able to analyze words. Digraphs, blends, any of them are very, very weakened. So I think if we spend more time on those foundational skills, their reading and writing is going to improve. Same thing in their writing. They're finding that they're not using the vowels correctly. Blends and digraphs are not there yet. So I think if we spend a lot of time on those skills, we're going to see the bump in both areas.
Awesome. Thank you. What materials or resources do you think you're going to need to achieve the goal?
We have our Fontes and Pinnell phonics.
Okay.
And there's good resources in there that we can implement during guided reading, also during centers. And we're also using Guided Reading Plus with our students who are below grade level, and that has a word work portion in it also, so we can take data from there. And then we also talked about using interactive writing as an intervention, and we can tie in a lot of those skills, those phonics skills, into that.
Tell me what interactive writing might look like, just a little snippet of it.
Interactive writing, you would choose a read aloud book that the students are very familiar with, do a quick review of the book, and then all together you compose one sentence with the children using sounds and letters that they are familiar with, high frequency words that they already know. You write it together. If the word is very long with complex, more advanced sounds, you write that one for them.
Okay.
Other times they write just the beginning sound. After you compose a sentence, then the students create a sentence of their own, and it can be about anything.
Sure.
You can draw a little picture and write a simple sentence, and practicing, again, the capital letters, the periods, the conventions, different sounds, and practicing stretching out the sounds. And it's a way to help them with their individual skills in a small group setting, but it's also you can monitor it over time and see their progress.
So do you keep track of those sentences then to keep them in a place that you can look at the growth over time?
Yeah. And it's even fun to take out those spirals and look with the kids. They can see the progress too, and they can take ownership of their learning.
Absolutely. So you start with a small group and then you take it to the individual. Gradual release.
And that actually, I did it yesterday, and that is a really good way to find data, because we did, some of them I had underlined as would be snap words that they would write on a board, and that they didn't know it. So it was interesting to me. That was great for, I could write down, unknown word, things that we can go back and practice. Same thing with some of the digraphs too that they weren't sure of. So
some real informal assessment information. Yeah. Very good. We talked about how it's going to impact student achievement. I'm also curious to know about instructional supports that you might need as you go through this goal. How are you going to collaborate, or are there any outside supports that you need in terms of instruction?
We had training of interactive writing with our literacy coach just a couple weeks ago. So I think that's a good starting point for us. And then she's a great resource during our literacy meetings. We collaborate as a grade level, and we can kind of brainstorm some possible activities and things that we can do with the kids to keep them moving along.
Okay.
Attending conferences, WSRA would be a good one to attend.
Yes, indeed.
I'd also like to add, we have a nice benefit to, we're offered the opportunity to go observe other classrooms.
Right.
To have a sub-in-our classroom and to go observe maybe a reading, a literacy, or center block.
Sure.
And I think that's something I can really learn from, to see how does it look? How do you get those struggling readers where they need to go, and how do you manage the rest of the class? So that's something I'm looking forward to as well.
Awesome. Good opportunity. Back to the goal. Which groups did you target for the goal? Did you do whole class, or did you just pull groups of kids for this goal?
I decided to do whole class.
I did whole class as well. 7 of my 11 students are below grade level right now, and 1 is on grade level.
Okay.
So I think it's important that that highest student maintains grade level, and then the 3 remaining students still continue to grow. But if you lift up those lowest, most struggling students, I think they will all benefit as well.
Okay, very good. You as well?
Yep, and I think that those low students, they're going to receive more support from me, but at the same time during whole group instruction, all those kids are going to get these skills that we're working on to keep moving forward. And that's something that we're really going to focus on as a whole class, because even my high readers, I don't see it carried over in their writing.
Sure.
So we want to try and balance that out a little bit more.
That sounds like a plan. What about differentiation, even though it's a whole class goal? And you just kind of talked about how you're going to support the higher kids as well, but what other ways of differentiation will you consider?
I think through, go ahead.
Oh, it's okay. I think in different small groups, one-on-one. Small groups, I'm also going to use flexible and also non-flexible, I guess you would say, grouping, so students can learn from each other. Trying different methods, interactive writing, different guided reading groups based on their levels.
Sure. So you mix them up as you need to.
Mix them up as you need
based
to.
on what they need to learn next. Okay.
And I think I'm also going to use the STAR assessment. You can monitor at least once a week. You can do it with the children. You can use that data to change up the groups a little bit, so they're not always working with the same students.
Good point.
And I think using that data too to form like word work center groups, and making sure that they're doing an activity that's tailored to their learning during those centers, and not something that they already, that's something that they can work on independently. But those high kids, I think doing word sorts right now is a really good thing, where they're capable to be like, oh, I didn't know I can read that word, but I realize that that has the same word pattern as all of these words, and now I know how to make all of those words. And I think that's been powerful for my higher kids too.
Okay, very good. How long are you going to focus on this student learning objective?
We're going to go all the way from now to May of 2014.
Okay. The whole school year.
And then in the spring, we'll also do the other PALS assessment again, so we can kind of monitor and gauge our progress there too.
Okay. How are you, well, you just kind of answered that, but the question is, how are you going to know or measure the student learning? You mentioned the PALS.
And in our goal specifically says that according to STAR, early learning assessment, we're going to have them move up at least one level or maintain their proficient level. And I think that'll be our ultimate goal, but as we're monitoring progress, we're going to be looking at their writing and things through word work and guided reading and things like that to see what words they're able to analyze.
So a lot of formative assessment along the way. Very good. What professional opportunity developments would help support what you're doing?
I think that one conference sounds really great.
Okay, and it is.
That one, like I said, the observations, looking at the interactive writing, getting more experience with that, and collaborating with the literacy coach and other teachers who have
the reading
that.
specialists too.
Very good. How can I be a support to you, either in terms of working with you in your classroom or resources I can provide? Are there any?
I think
the conference, I know. Get you to the conference.
I think that just like when we had those 2 hours of time, I think with our literacy coach, I think that was so beneficial to have a big chunk of time to go over a lot of those things.
Sure.
And I think this is a foundational skill where we're always kind of coming back to that. And to have that time, I think is really beneficial. Also to have subs in the classroom do peer observations is also a great tool as well.
Okay. I can help. help facilitate that.
If you have any other suggestions of reading or
Sure.
other strategies to try, I'm open to trying new things and
Sure.
reading about different things as well.
Yep. I know when we met as a grade level, one of the things you wanted to do a little bit more research about is conferring one-on-one with kids about their
Mhm.
writing. So we can keep working on that too with professional reading and coaching and whatever else. Perfect. Okay. Now you want to do a double check to make sure it's a SMART goal.
Okay.
S is specific.
I think it's specific because we're talking about increasing that one level, which is also measurable, but at the same time, we're using the STAR early learning assessment, and it's, we want to address phonics and word analysis skills is the goal that we want to see. So
Sure.
that's the specific part.
We've got the specific and you just mentioned the measures. So I think we're good there. Attainable? Do you think it's attainable for the kids and realistic?
I think it
so.
is.
Okay.
And I think when we have the next conference, in a few months, we can even relook at the groups and look to see where challenges are and where we need to change our instruction.
Exactly, so ongoing monitoring of everything. And then time bound,
So
Yep,
we
it's
want it
the
by
same.
May of 2014.
okay? So you
And
got,
even by that next conference, maybe we can have done another STAR assessment where we can kind of see, is this a good measurable tool?
Sure.
I mean, are we seeing that it's moving them along? So yeah, I think that would be a good thing to look at too.
okay. Sounds like you're well-versed, well-prepared, ready to go. Already doing it, I know. So we'll just keep talking about it and keep it alive during the year.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you so much.